Hello, friends, and welcome to the Witching Hour again, here only on the Creepy Vault. I hope you enjoyed my last podcast. If you didn't, you gotta listen to it. It's the journals of the Appalachian Trail, and there's a whole lot of other short, scary stories and all kinds of things on the Creepy Vault. This is the Witching Hour podcast that I do as well, and please subscribe and like if you haven't yet, and I appreciate all you that have done so. I have a really creepy story tonight as told by an Irish man. It's a Irish story. I was able to get a hold of this. It's really creepy. It's about a banshee. So I hope you enjoy this as told by Seamus Doolan. His name has been changed. So let's get into it. The Howling of Ballyboley, as told by Seamus Doolan, 1957. And as I said, his name has been changed. I was 33 years old when I first heard the scream. It was the summer of 1957. I had just returned to my late uncle's cabin in Ballyboley Forest up in County Antrim, not far from the village of Ballynor. The forest was old, older than any man alive could remember, and locals often spoke in hushed tones about the land, especially the older folks in the pub. They said strange things happened in that forest, that people vanished, that voices cried in the trees when there was no wind. I never believed a word of it. I had grown up in Drogheda, far from the superstitions of the north. After inheriting the cabin, I figured it would be a quiet place to write. Maybe fish, maybe forget the rest of the world for a while. But Ballyboley doesn't let you forget. The first scream came on the third night. I had just sat down with a tin of beans, the old oil lamp casting long shadows on the walls, when a sharp, unnatural wail split the night air. It wasn't an animal, it wasn't a bird, it was human, but not quite. A woman's voice, high and shrill, cutting through the trees like a blade. It seemed to echo from nowhere and everywhere at once. It lasted no more than 10 seconds. Then silence. And I mean real silence. No birds, no wind. Even the insects seemed to hush. My hair stood on end. I left the beans untouched. I didn't sleep that night. The next day, I hiked toward the edge of the woods where the sound seemed to come from. Trees twisted overhead like gnarled hands, moss thick on the trunks. I passed strange symbols carved into bark, symbols I hadn't seen before. Circles, spirals, crossed lines like crude Celtic knots. A raven sat on a branch, watching me with intelligent eyes. It cawed once and flew off. That night the scream came again, 3 times, each scream longer, more anguished than the last. The third was near, right outside the cabin. When I finally dared to look out, I saw nothing. No woman, no footprints, no sign of anything. But the door, which I always latched, was slightly open. The next morning, I went into town to Larne, a port town about 20 minutes east by car. I told the barkeep at O'Malley's what I'd heard. His face went pale. "You heard 3 screams, you say?" he asked, voice low. "Out in Ballyboley?" I nodded. "That's not a thing to joke about, lad," he said. "That forest's cursed. Pagan druids sacrificed in those woods. buried the dead standing upright to face the sun. The land is soaked in blood. They say the Banshee roams there still. Banshee? I asked. He leaned in. She wails before death, always 3 times, a warning. She's a harbinger. If you hear her, someone close to you's marked for death. I laughed it off. It felt stupid, a woman's spirit who screams death. It sounded like a campfire story. That night, I got a telegram from Narvan, where my mother lived. She had died suddenly, in her sleep. Heart attack. I stayed in Ballyboley. I shouldn't have. I thought that was it. The scream, the death, the folklore fulfilled. But it wasn't. The forest wasn't done with me. She wasn't done with me. The dreams started next. Always the same. A pale woman, her hair matted and white, her eyes hollow and black. She wore a tattered gray cloak. Her mouth open but no sound came out until I awoke, drenched in sweat, and heard her screaming from the trees. Sometimes I'd find strands of white hair on the cabin floor. The door would be unlatched again. I nailed it shut. It unlatched anyway. My cousin Liam visited from Dundalk to keep me company. I didn't tell him about the screams. He mocked the forest, called it fairy tale crap. That night she screamed again, 3 times. Liam laughed when I mentioned it. The next morning, he left to fetch wood. He didn't come back. We found his body near a bog pool 3 days later. His face contorted in terror. No marks, no wounds. His eyes were missing. I fled. I left the forest behind. Drove until I reached Galway. On the other side of the county, I rented a small room above a pub and told myself it was over. But the Banshee does not belong to Ballyboley alone. She had attached herself to me. In Galway, I heard the cries again. Not every night, just enough. 3 wails, always 3, always close. I saw her on the cliffs at Salt Hill one night, staring at the sea. White cloak, black eyes, she vanished in the mist. I went to a local priest, told him everything. He listened, quiet and unmoved. When I finished, he made the sign of the cross and said, "The Banshee doesn't come for the cursed. She comes for the witness. You've seen her, that's enough." He gave me a small vial of holy water. It shattered in my pocket the moment I stepped outside. Years passed. I tried to live. I married a girl named Fiona from Limerick. We moved to a farmhouse outside Kilkenny. We had a boy. For a time, things were quiet. I began to think maybe the Banshee had finally let go. Then one night I heard it again. 3 screams, but it wasn't for me. It was for Fiona. She died the next day in a car crash. Now I live alone. I'm 79 years old. My son, Colm, has begged me to come live with him in Cork, but I won't. I won't bring her to him. I hear her still, less often, but she's there. Some nights, I'll see her at the edge of the woods behind the house, her cloak rustling through. There's no wind. Waiting, watching. And last night, for the first time in years, I heard one scream. Just one. It was not long. It was not loud. But it was final. This will be my last entry. If you find this journal, do not seek her. If you hear her, run. Don't look. Don't listen. Don't acknowledge her, because once you do, she knows your name and she never forgets. Wow, that is terrifying. I don't know what I would do if I was stalked by a ghost, let alone a banshee. So according to the legend, as you could hear from the story, a banshee screams 3 times, and when you hear it, usually in a forest in Ireland, but it's happened in different places of Europe as well, even Canada, I've heard stories, probably even the United States, I'm sure. But when you hear the scream 3 times, it means someone has died. And then it's like a warning, like someone's about to die or someone dies. So this poor Irish man apparently was stalked and followed by this banshee that he experienced in the forest. What a creepy story. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Again, that was the first time I've read that, and I enjoyed it a lot. I like getting these stories, and I don't always proofread them. Maybe I should, but I enjoy reading them for the first time with all of you. It makes it more creepy and exhilarating. Well, that's it for today. Tune in next time for more creepy stories, podcasts, and other creepy things. So stay creeped out until next time. So long, my friends.